What's up, guys? This is Baking with Dan. Welcome back. I'm your host, Dan Langan, and today, as part of my 2016 Holiday Cookie Countdown, I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my favorite roll-out sugar cookies. Now, this sugar cookie dough is so super because it holds its shape really well when it's baked in the oven, so it's the perfect recipe to use with your favorite holiday cookie cutters. So along with your butter, add some brown sugar. That's going to give these cookies a nice flavor. And then we're using confectioner's sugar. I like confectioner's sugar in my roll-out sugar cookies because I feel like it keeps them really tender and really light and delicate. So you want to cream your butter and sugar until it's nice and smooth and it's lightened just a little bit, probably about 2 or 3 minutes. So while your butter and sugar is creaming together, let's whisk our baking powder and some salt into our all-purpose flour. If you're making a roll-out sugar cookie and you're going to use a really intricate cookie cutter, it's important to not use too much leavening in your flour because you don't want the cookies to expand or puff up too much in the oven because they'll lose that shape you're going for. So next we'll add 1 room temperature egg, some room temperature buttermilk, which I love in these sugar cookies. It adds just a nice flavor, and the acid in the buttermilk is going to keep the dough nice and tender. A good bit of vanilla extract, and then some orange extract. So the orange extract won't make your cookies taste like orange, but it will add a nice brightness that really contributes to the overall flavor of these cookies. I recommend trying it out. So once this is nice and smooth, just add all of your flour. I just add it all at once. And then we'll mix it on low just until the dough starts to form together. And this isn't a very sticky dough. You should be able to move it around and touch it, and it shouldn't really stick to your fingers too much. So at this point, we're gonna let this dough rest for 10 to 15 minutes before we roll it out. So I like to roll out my sugar cookies just between 2 pieces of parchment paper. And I also have a little bowl of flour here. Whenever I'm rolling out cookies, just to sprinkle some on the parchment on top of the dough, I use a standard rolling pin. Whatever cookie cutters you want to use, I'm using a polar bear, a snowflake, and a circle. One tip when you're choosing your cookie cutters that I would share with you guys is to try and keep the cookies or the cutters kind of the same size. You don't want to place really large cookies on a tray with smaller cookies because they might bake at different times and you don't want the cookies to burn. And then I also like to use just a large offset spatula just to help move the cookies from the table to the cookie sheet to bake them. And I like my sugar cookies to be a bit on the thicker side, especially if I'm going to decorate them. So I like to roll out my dough between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch thick. And you can just kind of check the side of your dough and see how thick it looks. I'll probably go a little bit thinner. And I'll give my cutter just a dust with some all-purpose flour, and then you just want to press the cutter straight down into the dough. And then I like to take my offset spatula. It helps transfer that dough right to the sheet. And I find with this cutter in particular, the dough actually comes out and sticks to the cutter. So if that happens, it's actually easier on you. Just place the cutter on the tray and gently nudge that dough out. So you want to bake your sugar cookies at 375 degrees for about 7 to 10 minutes. I personally prefer my sugar cookie to have a bit of a crunch to it, so I'm going to bake these until they're nice and golden brown around the edges. So you can see how beautifully golden brown these cookies have gotten around the edges when they baked, and you'll notice how nicely they held their shape. So these cookies are perfect for decorating during the holidays. So we'll just let them cool, and then they'll be ready to devour or decorate. So you guys are going to love my roll-out sugar cookie recipe, I promise. They've got such a tender texture, and that orange extract along with the butter and vanilla makes these cookies have a really bright flavor. They're definitely going to stand out from other sugar cookie recipes you used. And the dough is so easy to work with, it doesn't even need to chill before you roll it out. This is going to make your holiday cookie decorating project just a little bit easier. If you want the full recipe, just check out my blog, bakingwithdan.com. I'll put the link in the description box below. And make sure to stay tuned for the next video that I have coming up after this, where I'm going to be sharing with you guys a couple of techniques for my favorite way to decorate sugar cookies. So happy holiday cookie baking and decorating, and until next time, stay sweet.